How was that for you?
For me, it was a big moment, like in my life and just like in my being, right? So it was 2018 Manhattan Open, and I played with Eric Baranek in the qualifier. I hadn't played in a couple of years, so I didn't have a lot of points, and I was a year out of chemotherapy. So Eric and I had played together the year before, played in Hermosa and Manhattan in the qualifier, and Eric's a great dude. He called me up and was like, "Hey, I want to play with you." I was like, "I don't know what I'm going to be able to give you.
Yeah.
I'm just going through this stuff. I'm getting done with it, but I don't know what I'm, going to be able to do." And so Hermosa and Manhattan in 17 were experiments, right? But then in 18 was able to have a full year in recovery from chemo that we came back out when we played you guys in Austin. And then I was going to play more, but work got in the way. A couple other things came up. And then we played Manhattan, and we made it through. Like, we'll just skip ahead, right? We played 4 matches in the qualifier.
Beat some good teams. Beat Lottie and Derek Olson.
Yeah, so Paul Lottman and Derek, obviously, that was a special win for me because I coached Paul Lottman at Long Beach State. And I remind him every time I see him almost that, I'm 2-0 against him on the beach and he'll never get a win over me because I'm done playing. But yeah, and Derek Olson and I played against each other a lot, kind of, through the Cuervo time frame and the Corona Light Wide Opens. And Derek's a great dude also that's doing great things up at Washington with the women's volleyball program up there. So that was a huge win for us. And then we had to win 4. Like, we were seated so low that we played 4 matches that day. And we were actually the last match to finish. Matt McCarthy, I think is his name, and another guy.
Dan Beering.
Beering, yeah, from Chicago. So we were fortunate enough to beat them in the 4th match on the qualifier in Manhattan Open, and another just outpouring of emotion for me because, being an athlete and focusing on your body so much, when you get told that, you have cancer and you got to do chemotherapy, like, that's just a huge bomb being dropped on you, and you don't know what to expect, right? So going through that chapter and that challenge and adversity to come back and be able to still compete to a level where we qualified, that was a hugely important moment for me, my family, my friends, for Eric. I mean, we've talked about it before too, and just a really pleasure to be a part of. I played the next day, if you want to call it playing, but we got completely just demolished. We played Theo, and I think it was John Hayden in the first round, and they smashed us. I mean, we had no business. I had blisters on my feet that were some of the worst I'd ever had in my life because my feet weren't conditioned because I hadn't been playing full time. But then also my legs were just done. I mean, and then we lost to Duncan Buttinger, who I also coached.
Him and Daniel.
Yeah.
They were freaking good then.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we didn't have any expectations in the main draw. We were just happy to be there, To me, I proved to myself that I could go through what I had gone through and still play at a place where I was happy with my performance against guys that were playing a lot more than me.
Yeah.
And I'll always be grateful for that. So that was my last professional tournament. It will be my last professional tournament. Everyone's like, "Come play in a qualifier, play in a qualifier." I'm like, "No, thanks. I'm good. Like, I'm all right. I don't need to do that." Because people hit me up every year. It's like, "You want to play in the qualifier?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good right now. I don't have that. I don't have that itch to go back out there for a match or two and play against guys, that train 6 days a week. 4, 5, 6 days a week." That same summer won the Calcutta, the Labor Day Hermosa Calcutta.
That's bigger than winning Hermosa.
And so that's a big win. That's a big victory.
Big check.
Walked away with a nice chunk of cash in my pocket, which was pretty sweet. And played really good volleyball, and I was proud about how I played. So those 2 wins for me were a really good way to kind of be able to close that chapter of highly competitive volleyball, through what I had gone through and what I'd gone through with my family and everything with cancer and my kids, to see that I could play and kind of continue forward.
Ed Chan got such a good picture of you hugging the boys.
Yeah.
After you qualified.
Yeah.
And I still think that's one of the coolest pictures, because you can see, like, you had won some really, you'd been at the top of the AVP.
Yeah.
And then to see what it meant to qualify.
Yeah.
After going through what you went through, it's super cool to see stuff like that.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you got to start somewhere too, right? I mean, I remember qualifying for this first time. The first time I ever qualified was in Manhattan, way back when it was a 64 team main draw.
Yeah.
And it was way easier to qualify.
That's huge.
So to do it again, you know, as kind of like the final event, like full circle, like kind of keep going back to, you know, going full circle. And that was a super special moment for me and my boys as a dad and as a competitor, as an athlete, as a volleyball player, right? To be able to say that I did that and go through the adversity of cancer and chemotherapy and everything that is involved in that, physically, psychologically, to be able to come back and do it is something that I'm going to hold, you know, forever.
Yeah. And you had stage 2 testicular?
Stage 2 testicular cancer, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How long was the recovery process for that?
So in my case,
still an ongoing.
No, I'm 5 years out now.
Okay.
So it's medically, I'm medically cleared.
Awesome.
Which is great. I did 3 rounds of chemotherapy over a 9-week period.
Okay.
Of infusion of chemicals, right, that attack the cancer cells. Lost my hair, did all the stuff, dropped a bunch of weight. Fortunately, I feel like I had a pretty good base that I was strong enough to go through it, because and everyone's a little bit different on how they respond to chemo. It can be really, really hard, and it is really, really hard for a lot of people. I'm fortunate enough that it felt like a really bad hangover for me at worst. Nonetheless, it was still very scary to go into.
Yeah.
After the 9 weeks, I mean, I think I played in the Hermosa AVP. I still had a port in my chest, which was where the medication got infused. And so that was June-ish. And I had finished up chemotherapy in April.
Jeez, quick turnaround.
April or May. It was May. So it was a quick turnaround, and that's what I told Eric. I mean, I still didn't have hair when I played in the Hermosa AVP that year. And that's why I told Eric, I was like, I don't know what you're going to get from me. He's like, I don't care. I just want to play with you. And he turned 21 that weekend too. And so here's this just super hungry kid, super athletic, you know, and we've been friends ever since. The rest of the recovery physically was a good probably 9 months.
Jeez.
Of working through all the chemicals in the system, hair growing back. When your hair grows back after chemotherapy, it's not just the same hair that you had before. My hair was wavy, it was curly, it was red, it was weird.
Really?
And then
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, you got to fully cycle through like all the medication, and you see it. Psychologically, it has been a much more difficult challenge to kind of get back to where I was pre-cancer, after, you know, or continuing post, right? And so that's been an ongoing thing, and it's taken time for sure. Those victories, you know, those small victories on the beach are a big part of it. Getting back and being involved in volleyball has been a big part of it. Getting back to work, some sense of normalcy, but a different kind of normalcy, because now I will always be a cancer survivor, even though it's not something that I'll wear on my sleeve, but it's never, I will never forget it, and I will always be reminded of it. And, you know, a thing like testicular cancer is so common that, and so many people don't want to talk about it, but it's a very common thing that people need to know about, that affects a large number of white males between the ages of 18 and 34.
Yeah. And
I was diagnosed at, I believe, 37.
Okay.
Which is way late. You know, so that's another thing of adversity and working through it. And yeah, so physically I was there mentally, worked through those things, and then playing wise, it was a year later, you know, in Manhattan that we qualified.
That's a cool sort of bookend moment to that, as you mentioned, that kind of chapter of your life.
Yeah.